Greetings, acupuncture gynecology patients, endo warriors, and acupuncture friends. It's Dr. Stephanie here again, bringing you more healthy words of wisdom. It's autumn, and while under normal circumstances we need to take some extra steps to prevent succumbing to the elements, wind, cold, and dryness, those are the predominating elements in the autumn and fall. This fall may have everyone feeling a little bit more vulnerable because of COVID. So in addition to wearing your mask, I'd like to share some other ways to stay healthy and safe. In traditional Asian medicine, wind is known as the carrier of 100 evils. So what does that mean exactly? It means that when you were told to wear a scarf to protect your neck, it was actually better advice than you could possibly imagine. It's also the time of year when the weather can change in an instant. So you might not need a scarf one minute and then the next you do. So you need to make sure you have some extra layers that you are bringing with you when you're going places. Also have a jacket, a sweater, your scarf. Even someone like me who knows what they're supposed to do can get caught in the wind. So a few weeks ago, I was working what I like to call my other job, the one as an Uber driver for my daughter for all of her activities. And we had a break in between her voice lesson and a dance lesson. So we went to the boardwalk in Spring Lake for a little bit. Figured we'd sit on the boardwalk. And while the weather seemed warm enough, it was windy. And I had my scarf in the car, this very scarf, and I was too lazy to go back for it. And now I'm trying to undo the damage of the wind, which caused a very stiff neck. So I've had it for about 2 weeks. So I've been doing gua sha every couple of days to try to undo it until I can get in for a massage or for some acupuncture. And quite frankly, I'm kicking myself in the buttocks for knowing that I should have had my scarf on, should have had it either in my possession as I was walking or just walked back to the car to get it. So I'm wearing my scarf now because my neck is more vulnerable and I'm trying to keep it warm so that the cold and the wind don't make it worse than it already is. One of the reasons that the neck is so vulnerable are the points at the base of the skull. They're an open invitation for the wind to create havoc. They're actually called feng zhi, or the wind gate. So when you think of your neck, when it's windy, you want to cover the wind gate so the wind doesn't get in. Also at this time of the year, I ask that my patients, and if you're just a listener of mine, be mindful of your diet. The foods that you need to eat need to switch from cold summer salads to warm hearty soups. Foods that keep you internally warm. And you also want to keep in mind the temperature of the foods themselves. Eating too many foods that have a colder nature in the cooler months are really not optimal. And some of you, this may be like trying to beat a dead horse that you've heard this from me already because you're on my email list and you did get my recent blog and my recent email news, but I just can't iterate enough the different things that I want you to do to make sure that you're taking care of yourself and staying healthy. And obviously getting a tune-up from your acupuncturist, especially if it's me during this time of the year, is a key factor in staying healthy. If your acupuncturist is also an herbalist like I am, make sure that when you're in on your next visit that you're stocking up on the supplements that will keep you healthy during the autumn and keep you from, the ability, it'll give you the ability to counter the wind, cold, and dryness of the autumn season. If you have not checked it out yet, I started a podcast with an acupuncture colleague of mine, Dr. Robert Belko. He also practices here in New Jersey. The podcast is called the Practical Medicine Podcast. You can subscribe to our podcast YouTube page, our Facebook and Instagram, and I'll include the links below this video. You can currently watch the first podcast on Facebook, and eventually it'll be uploaded to YouTube and other podcast formats like Apple Podcast and Spotify and all these other places. Our first podcast was an intro to who we are and the journey and path that we plan to take people on to optimize their health and wellness. It will not be something that replaces these videos that I do to try and help you with wellness, because these are quick, short bites, and the podcasts are between 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes. So it's a little more lengthy, and Rob and I will be discussing things together. Our next podcast, which will be recorded later today, we'll be chatting about some additional ways to protect your health in the fall season, as well as countering seasonal allergies. Don't forget to visit the website, which I'll link that below as well, to schedule your fall tune-up, and make sure you subscribe to this channel as well as the podcast channel so that you can be in the know at all times about how to stay healthy. In addition, when we do our podcast later today, we're going to reiterate some of this info, but it'll be in a little bit more detail. I also have some seasonal tips in my blog, so make sure you check out those things as well. When you visit the website, make sure you subscribe to the email list so you get firsthand news about the center, the podcast, and everything else we have going on. So in the meantime, make sure you have your scarf and your jacket with you. Be well, and I will see you soon. And tune into Facebook later to watch our second podcast episode. Have a great day.